When I turned 80, I realized something that surprised me. It wasn't just the number of candles on the cake, or the fact that bending over to tie my shoes took a little longer. What surprised me was how much life had taught me, and how many lessons I wished I had paid attention to sooner. Looking back, I often think, if I had known these truths earlier, maybe I would have spent less time worrying, less time chasing things that didn't matter, and more time living in a way that truly filled me with peace and joy. And maybe you've had moments like that too. Maybe you've caught yourself wondering why you spent so many years putting others first without ever taking care of yourself. Or perhaps you think about the energy wasted on regret, anger, or fear, and wish you could take it back. The truth is, we can't rewrite the past. But we can share the lessons we've learned and use them to make the years we have now even richer, even more meaningful. That's what I want to do with you today. I want to tell you about 6 truths that life has taught me, the kind of truths that came slowly, like whispers you ignore until they become so clear you can't miss them. And while I learned them at 80, I truly wish I had embraced them at 40, 50, or even 60. Maybe hearing them now will help you see your own life a little differently. One of the first lessons I've come to understand is that health really is everything. You hear that phrase when you're young, and it sounds like a cliché. But once you reach an age where every ache, every doctor's appointment, every blood test suddenly means more, you realize it was the most important advice all along. I used to work myself too hard, stay up late, skip exercise, eat whatever was convenient, thinking my body would just bounce back. For a while it did. But time has a way of cashing the checks we wrote in our younger years. When you're 80, you don't care about the car you drove at 40, or the title you had at 50. You care about whether you can climb the stairs without losing your breath. You care about whether you have the strength to carry groceries, or the balance to walk safely without fear of falling. You care about whether your mind is clear enough to remember the people you love. These things, they become priceless. The good news is, it's never too late to treat your health as your most valuable asset. Even small steps matter. Walking around the block. Drinking more water. Choosing vegetables over processed foods. Getting enough rest. I used to think it had to be complicated, some big workout routine or strict diet, but it doesn't. Every choice you make adds up, and those choices are the difference between merely surviving and actually enjoying life. Another truth I've come to accept is that time is the one thing you can never get back, and it's worth far more than money. I spent decades thinking money was security, money was freedom, money was success. And don't get me wrong, money matters. It keeps the lights on, it puts food on the table, it lets you take care of your loved ones. But when you're at 80, you begin to measure life not in dollars but in moments. The dinners you skipped because you were working late, the vacations you told yourself you'd take someday, the phone calls you never made because you thought you'd always have tomorrow, all of those missed moments. They matter more than the money you earned instead. I used to think retirement would give me all the time in the world, but the truth is, time never feels like enough, no matter when it comes. Now I cherish mornings sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, afternoons spent talking with friends, and evenings filled with laughter from family around the table. These moments cost nothing, but they are the most valuable treasures I have. If there's one thing I wish I had known sooner, it's this: don't save joy for later. Don't keep waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is right now. And along with valuing time, I've learned something else, that relationships are the true measure of a life well lived. When I look back, the highlights of my years are not the achievements, not the possessions, but the people. The people who stood by me through hard times, the ones who made me laugh until my stomach hurt, the ones I could call at any hour just to hear a familiar voice. As you get older, you start to lose people, friends, siblings, sometimes even a spouse. It hurts in a way that words can't capture. And when you face that kind of loss, you realize how precious every connection is. At 80, I don't care who had the bigger house or the flashier career. What I admire are the people who loved deeply, who stayed loyal, who made others feel seen and valued. If I could go back, I'd spend less time chasing approval from strangers and more time building memories with the ones who mattered most. And the beautiful part is, it's not too late. Even now, I make it a point to call a friend just to say hello, to tell my children and grandchildren how proud I am of them, to hold my loved ones a little tighter. Because in the end, that's what remains. When you understand that health, time, and relationships are the foundation of everything, life starts to feel clearer, simpler, and lighter. The worries that once kept you awake at night, what others think, what you own, what you haven't achieved, suddenly don't seem so important. What matters is how you treat your body, how you spend your days, and who you share them with. Watching and feel that these insights are meaningful. Please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. As I sit here reflecting, another lesson comes to mind, one that took me far too long to truly understand. It's the truth that forgiveness is more for your own heart than it ever is for the person who hurt you. For years, I carried grudges like heavy stones in my pocket. Old arguments, words that cut deep, disappointments I couldn't let go of. I thought holding on somehow protected me, like if I stayed angry, I could keep myself from being hurt again. But really, all I did was weigh myself down. When you're young, you think you have endless years to make peace, to patch things up when you're ready. But time has a way of slipping through your fingers. People pass away. Relationships end without closure. And then you're left with the ache of what was never said. At 80, I've realized carrying anger steals joy, while letting it go sets you free. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean what they did was right. It simply means you've decided not to let that wound define your life anymore. You're choosing peace over bitterness. And believe me, peace is worth far more than being right. If there's someone you've been avoiding, someone you've been holding resentment toward, maybe today's the day to call, to write, or even just to release it quietly in your heart. You'd be amazed at how much lighter life feels when you let go of old burdens. Another truth I've learned is that happiness is not something you stumble upon when everything lines up perfectly. Happiness is something you choose, every single day, in small and simple ways. For a long time, I thought happiness was waiting just beyond the next milestone. I told myself, I'll be happy once I get that promotion. I'll be happy when we buy that house. I'll be happy when the kids are grown. But every time I reached that milestone, happiness moved further away, like a mirage in the desert. It wasn't until much later that I realized happiness was never hiding in the big achievements. It was sitting quietly in the little things I overlooked. It was in the smell of fresh bread baking in the oven. It was in the sound of children laughing in the backyard. It was in the warmth of sunlight on my face during a morning walk. Happiness wasn't out there, it was already here, waiting for me to notice it. If I had known this sooner, I would have spent less time chasing and more time appreciating. I would have savored the morning coffee instead of gulping it down while rushing to work. I would have lingered longer at the dinner table, listening to stories and laughter, instead of thinking about what needed to be done next. The truth is, you don't need a perfect life to be happy. You just need the eyes to see the blessings right in front of you. Now, let me tell you about another lesson, one that felt uncomfortable at first but turned out to be a gift. It's the truth that change is not the enemy, it's the very thing that keeps us alive and growing. When you've lived 8 decades, you've seen the world shift in ways that are hard to put into words. Technology, culture, even the way families live together, it's all so different from what I knew as a child. I'll admit, I used to resist change. I longed for the way things used to be. I thought if I clung tightly enough to the old ways, I could keep the world from moving too fast. But life doesn't work like that. Everything changes, our bodies, our circumstances, even the people around us. Fighting change only leaves you frustrated and stuck. Embracing it, though, that's where the magic is. Learning to adapt gave me freedom. It meant saying yes to new experiences, like learning how to use a smartphone so I could FaceTime my grandkids. It meant opening my mind to new ideas, even when they challenged the beliefs I grew up with. It meant seeing change not as a loss but as an opportunity, a chance to grow, to learn, to connect in new ways. If you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, I know change can feel intimidating. Maybe it's your health shifting, or your living situation, or even the roles in your family. But I promise you this, change doesn't mean the end of joy. It can be the start of something beautiful if you allow it. The more you lean into change with curiosity instead of fear, the richer your life becomes. So far, these lessons about forgiveness, about choosing happiness, and about embracing change have shaped the way I live today. They've helped me release old hurts, savor the present, and look at the future with hope instead of worry. And when I think about it, they all have one thing in common. They remind me that life is too short to waste on negativity, too precious to ignore, and too full of possibility to give up on. The older I get, the more I realize how much of life is shaped by the people we allow into our world. That leads me to another truth I wish I had embraced sooner. Relationships are far more important than achievements. Don't get me wrong, success matters. It puts food on the table and gives you a sense of pride. But when I look back, the awards, the promotions, even the money, they don't hold the same weight as the faces of those I love. I think about the times I chose work over being present at family gatherings. I told myself I was doing it for them, that one more deal, one more paycheck, would make life better. And yes, it helped, but it also cost me moments I can never get back. The truth is, the people in our lives don't remember the things we bought them nearly as much as the times we showed up, listened, laughed, or simply sat together. If I could go back, I'd worry less about impressing others and more about nurturing the people who mattered most. It's never too late to invest in relationships. Even now, a phone call to a friend, a handwritten note, or an afternoon spent with someone you care about can bring more joy than almost anything else. Loneliness is one of the biggest struggles people face as they age, but it doesn't have to be your story. Building or rebuilding connections, even in small ways, can turn each day into something to look forward to. Another truth that took me years to fully understand is that health is not a guarantee, and it should never be taken for granted. When I was younger, I thought my body would always bounce back. I pushed it hard, ignored its warnings, and assumed I'd have time later to take care of myself. But time has a way of catching up. You can't neglect your health for decades and expect it to carry you without consequence. Now, at 80, I realize that every walk, every vegetable, every good night's sleep, every checkup, it all matters. I wish I had started treating my body with the respect it deserved much earlier. Not out of fear of aging, but out of gratitude for all the years it's carried me. Taking care of your health doesn't mean chasing youth. It means giving yourself the chance to enjoy the years you do have with energy and freedom. And let me share one last truth, perhaps the most powerful of all. It's never too late to live with purpose. For too long, I thought life had seasons of meaning, childhood, building a career, raising a family, and that after those were over, I was simply waiting for time to pass. But I've come to see that purpose doesn't end when you retire, or when the kids move out, or when your body slows down. Purpose simply shifts, and it's up to us to notice it. Purpose might be sharing your wisdom with younger generations. It might be volunteering, creating, or simply being a source of love and encouragement for the people around you. Purpose can be as small as tending a garden or as big as mentoring someone who needs guidance. What matters is not the size of your purpose, but the fact that it gives you a reason to wake up each morning with hope. So when I look back on these truths, forgiveness, choosing happiness, embracing change, valuing relationships, protecting health, and living with purpose, I don't see them as regrets. I see them as gifts I've gathered along the way, even if I found them later than I would have liked. And I share them with you not because I think I've figured it all out, but because I believe someone listening right now might be standing where I once stood, wrestling with old grudges, chasing happiness in all the wrong places, resisting change, or feeling like life has passed them by. I want you to know it hasn't. Life is still here, waiting for you. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, there are always lessons to learn, love to give, and joy to discover. You don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to start, today, in this moment, with one small step. Maybe that step is making peace with someone you've avoided. Maybe it's choosing gratitude instead of complaint. Maybe it's saying yes to a new experience or reaching out to someone you miss. Whatever it looks like, I promise it will make your days richer and your heart lighter. At 80, I don't wish I could go back and live my life again. I wish I had learned sooner to live more fully in the one I have. But here's the beauty, you don't need to wait as long as I did. You can take these truths and begin today. So if you're watching this and something I've said strikes a chord, I hope you carry it with you into tomorrow. Share it with someone who might need to hear it too. And if you've learned lessons of your own along the way, I'd love for you to share them in the comments below. We can learn so much from one another, no matter our age. And before you go, if this conversation has touched you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. That way, we can keep sharing these moments together. Because at the end of the day, life is meant to be lived, shared, and celebrated. Here's to living your best life at every age, embracing every truth, and finding joy in the journey.